Pandemonium Reigns.
Pandemonium Reigns, June 14th, 2024, Wednesday, hump day. That's irrelevant. I'm Dan. He's Mike. We're here to talk Tennessee football opponents 2024. Catch the other episode, us talking about all the other irrelevant people in the world. The only people that matter are the boys in orange. The Pantone 151C orange.
Yes!
Just so we are clear. Again, as I said in the other episode, big day in the world of college football. It provides a lot of content for all the podcasters in the world. And just as you said in the other episode, so let me go ahead and ask you what you asked me. At the end of the day, after you've seen it all, are you more excited, less excited for what is now 2024 football in the SEC?
100% more excited. I mean, they did it as well as you can do it for bringing in these two teams that don't belong in the SEC of old, just like the two that joined 11 years ago, whatever. When you see it on paper, though, when we're in the 2024 offseason, when we're a year from today, boy, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, let's jump into it. Let me go ahead and get the schedule for the Volunteers pulled up here. Oh, gosh. Am I doing this wrong or something? Let's see. Let me do that right there.
You're looking good.
There we go. Now we're in business. Yeah. All right. So the Volunteers of 2024 hosting Bama, which they were going to anyway, Florida, which they were going to anyway, Kentucky, which they were going to anyway, Mississippi State, which is probably new, at Arkansas, at Georgia, which they were going to anyway, at Oklahoma, at Vanderbilt, which they were going to anyway. Hey, quick thought, man. Did we win or lose today?
It's a net win for today.
Net win. Totally agree.
Oh yeah, could have been. Yeah, sure, you could have done a thing or two here or there, but it's a net win, much more favorable than it is unfavorable for sure.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting here thinking, like, it's been 20 years since we played Mississippi State. No, we removed that from memory. That's what we did. Even though we won, we removed it from memory.
2019. Yeah,
2019. We were there.
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah.
We were there. All right, so just talking about this for a second. Again, Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, Georgia, Vanderbilt. That's already what it was. So majority of the schedule for us didn't change.
Agreed.
What changed was probably Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Oklahoma.
Agreed. Which, I mean, expand this conversation just a hair. Tennessee and Oklahoma were going to play for the 14th home and home within the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Not really. It was just going to be the third game of the series, but still, it's our time to give a little payback on that front.
Yes.
If we're good in 2024, Heupel might score 150 points in Norman that day. He's shown to be petty. I'm here for it all the way. And like we just hammered home, you want to play Oklahoma now instead of Texas if you're looking for a win for your squad.
Yeah. So talking Tennessee, Oklahoma for a second, my mind immediately went to when I was in high school and us preparing for homecoming my senior year to host Notre Dame High School. And that week of practice, aside from the Red Bank week, was brutal. And it was brutal because the last time my head coach at that point had lost to Notre Dame was his senior night of homecoming. So my mind goes to, you know what? That's going to be a rough week of practice for the boys in orange. But I think I got to hope that Heupel is going to, have the dogs at the – I just made a dog reference. Have the boys chomping at the bit. You know what I'm saying? Like eager to go to Norman and hang 100.
He's gonna have bullet points for days. I mean, the bulletin board, the entire four walls are the bulletin board. Guys, listen, we scored 36 points per game, and they had the audacity to let me go and keep the head coach's brother. You okay with that?
Yeah.
I didn't think so. Yeah. That's how that conversation is going to go all week with a lot more expletives and fire and, Heupel having that red face that we love and just all those things, man. And God, I'm excited. I'm so glad it's not Texas.
Yes.
Forget the easier game. I'm so glad it's Oklahoma this time.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about Arkansas now. Yeah, okay. Stinks that it's going to be in Fayetteville.
Sure.
But they're going to be looking at a new Q.
Yeah.
Under center. I don't know anything else about their roster, but I know that KJ Jefferson will be gone, so I'm not happy that we're going to be escaping that.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, just to be uber conservative, I'm probably calling that a toss-up just because I don't know a lot about Arkansas, and we're going to have Joe Milton to be gone and probably Nico at that point.
Yep.
At what point in the season is that game being played? Is it early? What time of day is it being played? There's a lot to factor in there.
And that's something that's been flowing through my mind as well. I mean, let's just face it. Florida is going to be the first one of these games unless they make wholesale just table flipping changes to the SEC with these two teams coming. It's going to be Florida week 3, week 4, that time frame. Mm-hmm. Georgia's been the next to last game or the third to last game on the schedule for a few years now. I'm not a great fan of that, but I mean, you probably think that one's later on.
Yeah.
What do they do? I mean, I'm curious as well. Where does that game fall? I hope it's a favorable landing spot just because it is on the road. Yes. Because Tennessee, Arkansas has been sneaky awesome over the years. Let's just call that what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, changes on both sides of that rivalry. Could be head coach changes for Arkansas if Pittman doesn't build on some of his early momentum there, like I've said 100 times. But a sneaky good game there, I think. Depending on where the rosters are at for those teams.
Yeah, for sure. And what I like about this is I see wins already.
Yeah,
I like us over Vanderbilt. I currently like us against Oklahoma.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I like us against Mississippi State. I like us against Kentucky. Devin Leary is going to be gone. Of course, we don't even know what he's going to be in Lexington anyhow.
Yeah.
And imagine this: even if we lose in Tuscaloosa and Gainesville this year, it's coming back to Neyland, right? Wild crowd. Looking forward to that. I think your words of a net win today are spot on.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, just the things that weren't going to change anyway with the typical East opponents in Alabama being what they are, and then picking up Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. I mean, you could do so much worse. Frankly, I'm shocked that LSU didn't find their way on here, even though we played in 2022. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just think about the way that things have always gone for us at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, Georgia's going to be tough no matter where you play it. Alabama, if Saban is on his way back or if he's still there doing what he's doing, it's going to be a tough roster. And perhaps they're playing a more old school brand of football at that point. We'll see how that goes this year, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the playoff's going to be a 12-team deal. I would think that 9 wins would be attainable against the schedule. I would really think that with the outside shot at 10 or perhaps a better shot at 10 than I'm giving Tennessee at this moment. Mm-hmm. But you do that, and I mean, you're going to be right on the bubble of that number 12 if you're not in it at the time that those things start leaking out.
Yeah. I find this to be very favorable with drawing Mississippi State. It's going to be year 2 for Coach Arnett, and they're going through some serious systematic changes. For the first time in Will Rogers' life, he's going to be turning his back to the defense.
Yeah. And he'll be gone at that point anyway. I mean, he's got to be a doctor already at this point, right?
Right. Well, so my point in that is 2023 could be rough for them.
Yeah, for sure.
It could be. And then you turn around and you drew having to go to Knoxville.
Yeah.
Ugh. So pointing out real quick. So this, I find a lot of weight and gravity in new quarterback situations. So
yeah,
Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma, KJ Jefferson, Arkansas, Devin Leary, Kentucky, Will Rogers, Mississippi State, and potentially, because Vanderbilt don't matter, potentially new Qs in Alabama and Florida, depending on what happens there. But the only guaranteed one is Carson Beck, right?
Not 100% sure on that, actually. I'm thinking I've heard about him being the backup for about 10 years now. Let me just see real quick.
The backup?
You know what I mean?
I thought he's pretty much the starter in Athens right now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, being the backup for Stetson Bennett and those guys for so long now.
Gotcha.
Okay, my man's a redshirt sophomore, so I mean, 2024, he's probably in Athens unless it goes, really, really well this year or something like that, or goes really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's so many new quarterbacks alone. Forget everything else. Like you just said, though, so many new quarterbacks. I mean, it's going to be wild to see.
Yeah. I'm excited again. I think we won the day. Again, this is only for the 2024 season. Excited to see the third Saturday in October. Excited to see Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Excited to see Florida. And you know what? Even though I think it's a loss 2 years out, excited to see Georgia on the schedule.
Yeah.
Really excited to be going to Norman. Happy to draw Arkansas. Totally cool with getting Mississippi State.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, didn't expect Tennessee to win that game in 2019 for sure, but it's a whole different outlook for two programs at this point.
Yeah, did not. That 2019 was scary.
Yeah.
JG says hello and then accidentally threw his hello to another person. So, again, you've got the quarterback situations. Is talking about in Tuscaloosa and Gainesville for a second. They've taken Tyler Buckner in the portal. I don't know what his eligibility is. Will Tommy Reese make a return? Who knows what's going to be. If you're Florida, let's just talk about Florida for a second. If you're Florida and things go south in year 2, you go 5-7, you go 6-6, and you had some ugly losses and you had some ugly wins. Okay.
Yep.
Do you hold on to him anyway just to try to survive this 2024 ordeal? I mean, do you really want to? Okay, just talk about this for a second because I know that we mentioned it in the other episode, but just pointing out, what is that playing? Good Lord. Florida's schedule for 24. Home against Kentucky, home against LSU, Miami, Ole Miss, A&M, Central Florida, at Florida State, at Georgia, of course, in Jacksonville, at Mississippi State, at Tennessee, at Texas. That's a rough slate. That's a rough. God. I'm not going to say it again. They got the short end of the stick. Okay.
Yeah.
They got.
Inside joke. We're very sorry.
Yeah. They're going to be searching for wins, but if things go south for you in year 2 in Gainesville, do you take Napier into year 3 anyway? Just because of that?
I mean, if you don't, and I'm not in favor of it because like Florida has gotten who they wanted with Napier, him turning down jobs before. Mullen, he was at Mississippi State forever until he wasn't. McElwain, I don't remember the circumstances. Will Muschamp, everybody wanted him every time he had an opening. DC head coach, it didn't matter. Everybody wanted him. That's like 3 out of the last 4, and McElwain was not a slouch when they hired him.
Sure.
But let's say you fire him. You go aggressive. You're like, we'll get who we want again. We'll get Mike Tomlin. I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? Let's say they do that. You're going to set him up for a first year. Like, this is where I'm agreeing with you, I think. Like, you're going to set him up with a first-year slate of that crap of traveling to Knoxville, to Austin, Georgia and Jacksonville, hosting Texas A&M, Ole Miss, LSU, and Kentucky. You're going to set him up for that in the shape that the roster's been in right now?
I don't know. Unless here's the only unless circumstance I can think of. You can get Garrett Riley hired.
Something like that. I mean,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody who can score you a lot of points.
And shoot, I mean, I think you even need to aim higher than that. That's just where I'm slightly disagreeing with you. I think you need to, you better have your eyes set on whatever, you name it.
He's just one that comes to mind because if he has a big year in Clemson, he's going to be a hot name. I mean, I'm
for sure
surprised he didn't get a head coaching job offer coming out of TCU and what he did there. So
yeah, I mean, you better land one freaking A on your board is what you better land if you make that move for that garbage that you're going to be playing in 2024. I mean, you don't have a competitive NIL. You don't have a roster that's very threatening for Florida, especially for the first time in a few years now. I don't know, man. I don't see how you'd bring someone in to that setup for their first year because you're in the same boat again unless they have a massive 2025 at that point.
Yeah, agreed. If you're Florida, please just year 2's got to be improvement. You just give me something because I feel very listen, we've had a rough 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel very privileged to be the state that we are in heading into this change and transition that 24 and 25 are bringing. Yeah. So
heck yeah. And heck yeah. NIL couldn't come at a better time for a program where the fan base gets involved like Tennessee's, and many others fall into that category if things are in order on the other side of that, on the non-fan equation, but they're not in order in Gainesville right now. I mean, they should have Jaden Rashada and be grooming him right now for 2024 is what they should be doing, and they don't. That's brutal.
Yeah. Now, through the lens of Tennessee for 2024, again, this is hard to talk about when you start talking roster and who's going to be the guys and whatnot. It's probably Nico at this point. Okay. However, what's our offense going to look like? And I ask that in the sense of, are we gonna push the run even more? Because we've talked about that coming into the 23 season, that we think we're going to be more run heavy, with the loss of Hooker and transitioning into Joe. You could see that even, are we going to be more 75-25, favoring the run? Because you're probably going to have Dylan Sampson, right? There's a chance Jalen Wright will have eligibility, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of new faces.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, and he would need a huge 2023 to not be in Knoxville in 2024 is all I was going to say.
Jalen Wright. Yeah. So,
yeah, I would say so, depending on your offensive line, because the running back room is, nobody talks about it because everybody is so quarterback centric across the sport, pro and in college, but especially at Tennessee right now with what Hendon Hooker did, with the intrigue of Joe Milton. That's literally like, this intrigue has been there for like 5 years, the last 5 years of Joe Milton's life. Like, it's been there with his arm and what he can do. But, he'll be leaving. You're going to be inserting a true sophomore, redshirt freshman at that point. But the running back room does not get talked about. Cam Selden, Dylan Sampson, Khalifa Keith, nobody even knows his name.
Yeah.
Whether he pans out, we'll see. And then you're probably looking at Jalen Wright being a true senior in 2024 is what I would guess.
Yeah.
Unless he has a massive 2023 campaign. But where's the offensive line at? Can they do the things that they've done for you so far in this era? To me, it sets up for a really nice run game in 2024.
What we really don't know about 2024 is the receiving core. Squirrel White. I mean, we can say names like Nathan Leacock, but we don't know. I mean, we've seen Squirrel White on the field. We haven't seen the first lick of Leacock. Thornton will be gone. No, Thornton will have eligibility, gone. But they're expecting a big year, right?
He's wanting to be gone. Like he's wanting to do a one. He's a Kentucky fab freshman right now, is what he's considered in basketball terms.
Yeah. Thinking of other names here, Brew McCoy obviously going to be gone. I mean, you have some. I mean, you could have a Caleb Webb. We could be talking about him going into 24 season. You're probably talking about an Ethan Davis, right? And then you get to then you get to the defensive side, and then I start asking a lot of questions. D line, linebacker, all of it. I'm like, don't know, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's the thing is, the pieces are, could be there to line up in 2023, but when you go on down the road and you move another class, what does it look like? And I'm with you.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be talking about, an Arian Carter, going into 24. That means he had a good freshman campaign. Hopefully we're talking about, hopefully we're using the name Christian Charles a lot, right?
We're talking about, former 4 and 5 stars, James Pierce and Joshua Josephs coming
there
off
you
the
go.
edge.
Those are some of the names I couldn't think of. Yeah.
So. And David Hobbs, you can't keep him off the quarterback on the interior. I mean, talk about these things, what we need to be hoping for 2024.
There you go. So a lot of questions for us, but you know what? At this moment in time, I got a lot of hope and trust and faith in Heupel and that coaching staff. But I want to end by asking you a question here. You got one ticket. It doesn't matter if it's in Knoxville or one of these away games. And you only get one. You don't get two. You just get one. Which one? It's not any cost out of your pocket. It's paid for. Plane ticket is covered. It's all covered. Which one are you going to?
Yeah, and there's only two games that I'm considering. Just you may know that, you may not. There's only two games I'm considering, but the one I'm picking is Norman, Oklahoma. I think that will be such a special day for the Orange. And it's kind of against my nature because I've got this goal to get around to the 14. I'm still going to hold that for a few years, to the 14 SEC venues. Been to a few. The only other one of note that I've been to, not named Tennessee, is at Bryant-Denny Stadium for a terrible matchup against Charleston Southern. But I want to get around to the SEC venues, the historical SEC venues, which Oklahoma is not. But I want to go to that game, and I may make that happen if this ticket is not gifted to me.
Sure, I hear you. That's the one I was going to pick. I mean, you're only going to get Tennessee at Oklahoma year one time, right? That's one shot, right?
100%.
I love the third Saturday in October. I will forever remember our experience last year in the Inland Stadium.
Oh yeah,
but there's going to be other opportunities to do that. We're only going to get Heupel in Norman year one. Oklahoma beating this conference one time. Give me that. I'm taking it
all day. I mean, and that's the only other game I'm considering is Alabama, but it's kind of like we did that. We'll never top that, most likely.
Yeah.
Especially so soon. We're looking at a bit of a build at that point with Hendon gone, with Joe gone, long gone. Things are different. I want to go to Norman.
For sure. Hey, let's shut this puppy down. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for letting us tickle the ears, talking a little Tennessee football. Tennessee Vols 2024, 12-0. If you believe it, hit like, hit subscribe.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're gonna have to believe it. You're a Bammer fan, and
Pandemonium Reigns.
Never mind, I can't say that. We love you guys. Hope you have a fantastic day, night, ride to your job, whatever is happening, whatever. Follow us, like, subscribe. God bless. Go Vols.
GBO.
Pandemonium Reigns.